welcome to Think, Pray, Do podcast. Today we have Gilbert from the Gazelle Foundation on the podcast. I'm up in the capital of Texas, Austin, and I wanted to welcome you to the podcast. Hey, Gilbert, how you doing?
Thank you for coming to ATX. It's always good to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be up here. It's a sunny day. And when I got here, Gilbert was talking with someone else, and then someone that was off a bicycle stopped and talked with him. And as we're walking into his office, someone else is stopping to talk with him. This guy's a busy guy, so I want to thank you for taking the time to be on the podcast and taking the time to meet with me. I really appreciate that.
It's my pleasure to be on your podcast.
Yeah. So where we're going to start today is this is Gilbert, and he is a co-founder of the Gazelle Foundation. And so they do water systems. In an earlier podcast, I talked that I'd been in Burundi, Africa, and Gilbert is actually from Burundi. What part of Burundi are you from? Is it from the south, right?
Yes. For those of people who don't have any idea about Burundi, Burundi has 15 provinces. And Burundi is a province that I came from in a commune called Songa. It is 120 kilometers, like almost 70 miles from the city, from Bujumbura, the capital.
Yeah.
And so grew up in Burundi. I go on. It was amazing. It's in a mountain area. And when I was growing up, we didn't have the water and electricity in the house. So just think about for a moment how privileged we are here. You get up in the morning. There's water a few feet away from your house. I mean, your bedroom. And when I was growing up, we didn't have water or electricity. My daily routine would be fetch water 2 miles down and with a jug at the top of my head.
The 6-gallon jug that I'm supposed to carry for this race? How big was it?
No, you graduate. When I was a little one, like maybe 5 or 4 years old, I had maybe 2-3 gallons. You graduate. As you grow up, you get bigger and bigger. But for you, of course, that's right.
That thing almost flattened me the other day.
No, it's great. It's great. You got to have a trick. The trick is you build what we call ingata. It's something you build between, it protects your head.
Yeah.
So it's between the jug and your head, and then help you balance the jug.
Is it kind of like those things that they put in between the drum and their head when they're drumming? Kind of the same concept?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the same concept, because when you carry the drums, you want to be able the drum to sit in the middle, so it doesn't, if you put it in your head is not flat. So you got to create some kind of where it sits, so it doesn't move around.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you grew up in the south of Burundi with no running water and no electricity. What was your house like? Was it like the sticks and mud packed into it, or was it like the brick house, or what was the construction of it like?
When I was growing up, it was mud, huts. You call huts with a grass cover.
Yeah, like a thatched roof.
Yeah. If there is a fire, you're done. I mean, it burned the whole house. And so, luckily, I don't understand how my parents and my grandparents decided to do, huts. I think it was because it's an altitude. You want to make sure that it keeps warm.
Yeah.
And in the summer, it's not hot.
Yeah.
Also, the weather it's amazing. The weather it's beautiful. So, I think mainly was a money issue. They didn't have a way to pay for bricks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or
and do they bake bricks in the southern mountainous part of Burundi like they do in the northern part?
Correct.
So
they do.
Yeah.
When you're driving along the highways, you see like fumes. Like that's where they have. They're making bricks. I don't know if it's baking, but
yeah. So for those of you who don't know, in Burundi, the dirt's really, really red, and when they make bricks, you can correct me, Gilbert, if I'm wrong, but they pile them in like this big structure, and then they build a fire underneath it.
Yes.
and they build like the bricks themselves into an oven, and then they bake the oven by putting a fire underneath there. Then they disassemble it, and the bricks are dry, and they won't fall apart as easy. Is that
That's
what
correct.
happened? Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
And then there's the bigger bricks that I don't think they bake those, do they?
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Those are made. It's mostly clay. Depend upon where you are.
Yeah.
But those one they don't, because it's very difficult. They do the tiny ones. I forgot the measurement. Yeah.
No, they're about the size of a U.S. brick, maybe a little smaller. But yeah, it's funny. They turn out red because the dirt is red. They look very much like the bricks that you see trucking around in the United States, especially down here in Texas.
Yes.
We have a lot of red brick around here.
Yes.
So going back to your growing up, the water source was about 2 miles away.
Yes.
Yeah. And were you the only one out of your family that was doing that every day, or would one trip from you 2 hours and 2 hours back, or was it 2 miles?
It was a total. I think it was closer to 2 miles one way.
Okay. And how long did that take you?
Oh, I don't know, man. I didn't have a watch to. I didn't have a GPS or watch to kind of time, or it was a daily routine that you get used to. And it was a lot of fun. Let me put it this way. I don't know how I did it, but it was a lot of fun. Your mother would be like, son, here's a routine. If every day before you go to school, you have to go fetch water. You know, before the sun comes up, you are moving to get water, because the school was 6 miles away. I had to run 6 miles to school.
After you walked 2 miles to water and 2 miles back.
Yeah.
So you were doing 10 miles a day?
Correct.
At what age?
I mean, starting first grade. Yeah.
What were you, like 6 or 7?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Just think about first grade all the way to 6th grade. I did it.
Man, my little sister just is 6, and she just started school, and I can't imagine her going 10 miles a day just to get done. I bet you didn't have a hard time sitting still in classes after you were that tired from moving around, right?
No, sometimes you'd be sleepy like at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Because you'd be tired. I remember...
Wait, 6 miles to school, then 6 miles back? Or is it 3 miles to school there and back?
6 miles. It's 10 kilometers. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I did it with... The good news is it was a lot of fun because everyone does the same.
Yeah.
It's not here you have rich kids that get picked up in a fancy car.
Yeah.
You know, or you have a bus that come to collect a student around your street. None of those. Everyone. If you want to be in the school, you got to have to find a way to get to school.
Yeah. So 6 miles there, 6 miles back, that's 12
That's
miles.
12
and
miles.
then 4 miles.
Yes.
You're doing 16 miles a day?
A day.
Gilbert, not everyone gets a runner's high like I hear that you do. I've tried. I may have gotten there once, but the rest of the time it eludes me. So do you think that, I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, but do you think that this routine of yours gave you a love for running and a love for getting distance beneath your feet in a quick way? Or do you think, like, for some people it might kill that desire to go out and do it if you have to do it, but somehow it seems like you still love it even though it was a necessity and you had to do it for so long? You think you think that's just your personality, or do you think that's most people?
That's
that
most
grow up like that?
Yeah, that's most people in Burundi. I think when you think about the life that I lived, and when sometimes I tell people the story, they go, wait a minute, almost 20 miles a day. But the thing is, that's a way of life. You don't have a choice. Everybody does. In the community, they do the same thing. The good news is, when I started running was easy. When they said do one lap, I was like, oh, that's a joke. I would go fast as I can, and the coach would go, do that again. It was a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Especially when I went to, they call high school 7th grade. When I went to high school and the school organized a race, it was 5 miles. Man, I won that race as a 7th grade.
Yeah.
And the coach came up to me and he said, son, you are so good. You can be the best, not only here at our school, but all over the globe. But the globe for me was my student. Beating in the 12th grade,
Yeah.
that was my globe because I didn't have a TV, I didn't have internet.
Yeah.
And so, but that word, it's always with me. Whenever I'm ready to compete, whenever I'm ready to run, you can be the best.
Yeah.
Because I was inspired by the coach. It was easy because if you were doing 20 miles a day and then you've been told to do 5, piece of cake.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
to answer your question, yes, the running way of life, to fetch water, to go to school, it helped me to gain extreme, what I call endurance, yeah, to sustain like a long efforts, long like running.
Yeah, so that 2 mile trip down to the water, and then was it a river or was it a well?
It was not aware. It was not. It was.
Like a watering hole type thing?
Yeah. So what they would do is they would go like at the top of the mountain, and then they found a spring,
Yeah.
and then they would filter. So the water that comes out the spring,
Okay.
it will be filtered.
So even back when you were a kid, they were making an effort to filter the water out.
Yeah, but that
And this-
happened like maybe when I was 10 years old.
Yeah. So was it local Burundians that were doing the filtering, or was it something like the Gazelle Foundation that was
Yeah,
helping out?
something like that. It was a Catholic relief that they decided instead of trying to do well and do, maybe it was a financial issue.
Mm-hmm.
They went to every, I would say, neighbor where they have a creek or they have a source. They would tap the source, they would treat it, and most people would travel distance to get water.
That's something that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious to hear that, someone else, an outside group, coming in and helping putting filters in. Do you think that that's part of the reason that you're so passionate about the Gazelle Foundation and giving back and doing that for others? Because that was done for you and your family when you were there. I want the listeners to think about, here's Gilbert, you're just one example. Think of all the kids that are over there that we could be that person for, to go and put filters in, go and put water systems in, and maybe there's 10 other Gilberts that are there right now that don't have those filters yet. And if we can help get them the water that they need to go to school and the education that they need, the world's going to be a much better place. Austin for sure would vote that more Gilberts would be a good thing. I could tell, because when I came here, I had a hard time pulling you away from everyone, and that's the same pretty much every time I see you, like no matter where it is. And it doesn't have to be race day. Like, it seems like everywhere you go, someone wants to talk to you. And the thought is, the smartest person on the planet that ever lived is not Isaac Newton, is not any of these geniuses that we know about. Statistically, it's much more likely that it's someone that lived in an area that didn't have the resources that they need to get the education that they needed, and that person was never known of by the world because they were crippled by having to do, menial tasks that, had to get done first. If you don't have water to drink, and if you don't have food to eat, who cares about calculus and solving the other problems of the world? Your family comes first.
True. Yeah. I want to take you back to you said a great about having the filter in my neighbors and also my villages. One thing that was not sustainable. If it rained, it would destroy the whole thing because
really?
Yeah, it was done at the lowest point, right? And so
And you're in the mountains. What elevation were you at?
I grew up in 5,000 feet.
5,000?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
We're at like
close-
600 feet right now. So that's...
it was closer to between it gravitated between 1,800 to 2,000. So
Yeah.
but I went to school 8,000 feet.
So wait, you were
Yes.
climbing 3,000 foot of elevation.
Yes.
So when you're running those races, what elevation was that at? Was that in Buja?
No, that was in Igitega. That's where I went to.
Gatega's
school.
what, like 2,000 feet?
2,000.
Yeah, so you had a altitude advantage and your lungs were stronger than probably most of your kids you're competing against,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
That's what they do here in the U.S. There's an Olympic training center up in Colorado Springs at like 6,500 feet
Yeah.
because they want to get their lungs built up, and then they go and compete everywhere else in the U.S. and they'll have somewhat of an advantage. That's really, really funny. It seems like you were born into an Olympic training center, if you will, whether you wanted to or not.
I didn't know. The thing is, it was very hard when I go back to my village. It was very hard to run hard. It felt like it was difficult. I didn't know it was affected by the altitude.
Yeah.
But it was easy to run in Bujumbura. It was easy to run in Gitega for somehow. And I guess you're right. It's because of
the altitude.
Yes. Yeah. So it is very important, as you said, to give back. Always think about the people that help you. Always. That's one thing. When I moved to this country, when I started telling my story, what happened is, for those of listeners, I am a genocide survivor from Burundi Genocide 1993. The president was killed, and in act of retaliation, people come to my school, want to retaliate. Luckily, because of the grace of God, I am alive today. I spent 3 months in the hospital, and running was out of question. The doctor actually discouraged me from running. It's like, running for you, it's over. Because I had a 30-degree burn.
Yeah. No, your skin was like gone, wasn't it?
Yes. I lost 30% of my body. And
of your skin or of your body?
My skin, my whole skin. Yeah.
Man.
That's what they call 30-degree burn.
Yeah.
As you can see, you can see it. People don't see it.
Yeah.
But
no, y'all can't see it, but I can see the burns on him right now.
30 years ago, you can see still the burns.
Yeah.
This is 30 years today.
Yeah.
And so when I was in the hospital, I had anger. I was really upset with the people who trying to kill me, and I couldn't understand and put together a logic that will explain, that would make me believe why these people wanted to kill me. I couldn't understand. So I took a Bible, I read cover to cover, trying to find a solution for me. And to be able to move on, to pass, I chose to forgive my enemies so I can move on.
Oh, and that's so powerful, Gilbert, because when you hang on to stuff that you can't get over, that person that did that to you, or those people that did that to you in that gas station, they're not here. We don't see them, but you'd still be affected by that if you didn't choose to forgive. And it's amazing to me, and I just want to ask you, like, your commentary on the thought process of, a lot of people in your situation would probably be so angry that they'd never do anything for anyone in Burundi ever again because they didn't want to help the people that hurt them. You're not like that. This is what, 63 water systems later?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
in Burundi, and the systems are still going in. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, I think you're right. We've done a 1663, and there's another one to be completed pretty soon.
Iman Ishimwe.
Iman Ishimwe. That is right.
Hey.
God is good. So when I moved here, I used to wear long sleeves because I didn't want people to ask me, what happened to you? I wanted people to treat me the way I am, not to know my history.
Yeah.
And I would go speak to churches, and I was able to write a book, and people would be like, man, how can we help? And I'm always wanting to give back to the community that raised me, that helped me. They're still struggling. I mean, people still travel miles to go get water.
It's true.
And here I am in the United States. I am able to do something for me and also for others. It is such rewarding to be able to give your time, your talent, your financial. It's a more rewarding. And so we've done 63 projects, water systems. More than 120 to are getting a clean water to home. Children, they don't have to waste time like I did to go fetch water. When the people are traveling to go market, to go to school, to go to church, in school themselves, like hospitals uh, it's not a clinics,
Mm-hmm.
school kids have a water in the school.
Yeah.
When you see those transformation, when you see a village transformed, it gives you courage, it gives you hope, it builds a hope to the other people, and that's how you end the cycle of poverty, by creating hope, have people dream big. And so it's an honor and a privilege to be able to serve a community, even though they done bad to me. I feel good by giving back.
Yeah. No, it feels so much better
Yes.
forgiving and giving back.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me that it's so cool to watch your life. And I know so many people know about your life, and because of the book, This Voice in My Heart, that you've written. But I think so many people don't get the experience that I get right here, sitting in front of you and listening to you and seeing your face and hearing the passion and the I don't detect a hint of anger or mal feelings towards the people that that did you wrong. And it's such a testament to forgiveness as a choice, and everyone has the ability to make that choice, whether they want to or not. They have that ability within them. And so how long did it take you to make the resolve to, what, no matter what happened, I forgive them? And did that happen quickly, or did it take a number of years?
It took a lot of years.
Yeah.
So one was, God is so good, and that's the thing sometimes we don't understand.
Yeah, he is.
And you just don't try to comprehend. Just roll with it. When I was about to come here to the United States, I had a ticket in my hands. My flight was the 8th. I believe it was April 8th. And that was maybe beginning of April. I'm on the market buying stuff, like trying to get ready. When you come to America, you got to buy good suit, right?
Yeah, and bring the mayonnaise that's better than ours.
And so I ran into a man. This man was the guy who was in charge of making sure that I got in the building. They set in fire. He made sure that I was in the building burning.
Oh, like in the gas station.
Yes,
piled
yes,
all the bodies in there.
He was the one making a command. This guy got to go in the building. It's like
was he your, what was it, science teacher?
No, it was not. It was a community leader in a community, but
Okay.
who knew?
But he knew you.
Oh yeah, everybody knew who I was, and that's danger. Everybody knew who I was because I was a national champion. I was always on the TV. Whenever we host a meet, I would kick everybody's butt. I was always fast. So the community, every time I'm running like past it, like, oh, here he goes, here's Gilbert.
Yeah,
Even
you're a community celebrity.
Yes. And then one time actually I got hit by a bicycle. I was running and they sent a bicycle. It's like, he can beat you by running. The bicycle is not here with a gear.
Yeah, they have one gear, right?
They have one
and a lot of rebar on there to help them.
Yeah. So
carry
this guy
more.
started chasing, and I was turning, and he was close to me. He clipped on me.
On purpose?
No, I think it was not on purpose. He didn't know he was racing me.
Yeah.
And I injured my hip, but I bounced back. This is to tell you that I was well known in the community.
Yeah.
So people knew who I was. So I saw the man, and he thought I was dead. He didn't have any idea that I was still alive.
Yeah, because you broke out the back window of that gas station using someone's femur, right?
Yes.
And they were they all gone by that point, or were they all in front?
They were in the front waiting. Some were outside, but the outside they knew there was no way you're gonna be able to escape. You're running into a creek that was dangerous, and so
Yeah, it's a sharp hill on the
it's
back
a
side of that.
downhill. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not super clear in the book, like what the terrain is like, but I passed it on the way from Bujumbura to Gitega, and from Gitega back to Bujumbura, and that hill behind it it's like Gatega's a mountainous area, and it's like a sharp downhill right behind there. So that's a lot more impressive now seeing the site.
Oh man, it's
Then
so
when
good.
when
so
I was reading it, I was like enraptured and like eyes glued to the page, and had to read it like all the way through. I'm like, I can't stop. I got to read this. But seeing it, I want to go back and read it because that's way more impressive with that downhill slant. Yeah, you're right. Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
no, that's really good because it's good to talking to someone who has been to that spot. It makes sense.
It does.
And so the guy knew that I was dead, right? I appeared in his face
Last he saw you, he was putting you in the building,
in
right?
the building.
And as far as he knows,
And that's 2 years passed, by the way.
it was 2 years.
Yes.
So how long was it
I came in
between?
96 in the United States.
So 2 years from the genocide to you moving to the U.S.
Yeah, the genocide happened end of October. It was like almost 2 years and a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
We haven't
so
seen
you
each
saw
other.
him outside the suit shop,
Yeah.
and he was stunned.
He was in the market, the market, Bujumbura market, which is
Yeah.
the city, right? I don't
Mhm.
know if you've been there.
Yeah. No, we stayed at KCC, which is in Bujumbura. Was
Yeah.
it close to the lake? Or
No, it was a midtown because they burned out. The market got burned out. It was middle town, like central.
Yeah, like close to the zoo, or was the zoo there back then?
It was east of the zoo.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's from where you stayed. If you would go from going towards the mountain
Yeah, north.
north, no, mountain is like east.
Is it?
No, north you'd be going that way.
Yeah, I never drove there. There's so many bicycles and roads. I got turned around easy.
Yeah. So it's like going towards the mountain, which is east, because the lake is to your left.
Oh, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. Because
yeah.
Gatega's in the center of Burundi, and Bujumbura's on the far west of Burundi along Lake Tanganyika.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
it's,
got
it's
you.
like going north. So that's the center of the city. That's I don't know if you never taken a public transportation, which is I would suggest don't
Don't do it.
no don't do it because it pile like
We saw a lot of buses there, and a lot of people walking, and like 5 people on one motorcycle.
that's it
Yeah.
something like that. A bus is worse experience.
I'll
Anyway,
Go ahead.
they he saw me first before and then he collapsed in my feet begging for forgiveness. And this is really a tough moment for me. I thought I was attacked again,
Oh no, yeah.
but he's kneeling asking for forgiveness.
You had that like almost like trauma response to
Yeah.
this happened before and it caused me so much pain. Your body was like, "Oh no, it's happening again," even though it wasn't.
Even yeah,
Yeah, but
And he's
you
big-
chose to forgive him
I
instead
chose
of
to
running
forgive
away.
him. No. Before I asked him questions, I said, "Hey, why were you trying to kill me?" I was told to kill you. It was not me. Who told you? I want to find out. But at the same time, I was walking. It's busy place, right? You look over, people are coming in and out.
Yeah.
And something went straight to my voice, really fast voice. Don't do it. I wanted to kill him. And the voice was like, don't do it.
The voice in your heart.
I saved you that day. I saved you that day. And I was like, go, get out of here. My friends were coming. They were behind me. If I have told those my friends that that's the guy who trying to kill me, I don't think he would have survived.
Yeah.
They would have killed him. To me, I didn't want to see anybody get killed because revenge for me is always against my will.
Yeah.
Revenge is not the word that come up to my vocabulary. Instead, is forgive your enemy, move on.
And that
It
doesn't come like that's not normal human instinct after the fall of Adam and Eve. That's something that you probably had to be taught, right?
Yes. In a sense,
You were in a Christian.
it was a Catholic school,
Yeah.
and then actually it was not a Catholic school. My elementary school was a Catholic school, but my high school was a Quaker, kind of like
Yeah.
I don't know what the comparison here. What would be to compare here? It's a Protestant.
Yeah, Protestant.
Yes, and
Yeah.
so that was the school.
But you were familiar with the Bible because you read it in the hospital.
Yeah, I did. I read. Yes, that was the message Forgive your enemy,
Yeah.
move on. You cannot live.
Let go.
Yeah, let it go. You cannot live a life full of anger if all you think is about revenge.
Man, that's so powerful, and so many people, talk about it, but you actually did it, right?
I did it. Yeah, I did it.
And you did it in a place, in an area where everything is, in the U.S., everything's very, I want to say, compartmentalized. Like, everyone kind of rides around in their own vehicle. They live in their own house. They have their own stuff. In Burundi, one thing that I noticed is it's so communal. Community is a really, really big deal there, because there's a lot more people walking around. It's just more natural to talk to the person next to you. And so I think it would be almost harder in Burundi to have that, someone in your community that that they did you a big wrong, because you're going to see them. You're going to come in contact with them out and about, because, most everyone, it seems like it's kind of like more of a small town. Everyone knows everyone, and everyone knows what happened.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not so much of, oh, I live in New Braunfels, I'll drive up to Austin and I'll move there and no one will know me. You kind of couldn't get away from it, right?
You can't. I would say Burundi also nosy, and it's not probably the word. They like to know their neighbors. They like to know, who is this? Who is that? Who's my neighbor? And the society is also relaxed. Relaxed in the sense they like to have fun.
Yeah. Which I really loved when I was over there.
And they like to do things together. They like to help each other. As you said here, it's different. If I go back, for example, in Burundi, I have to go to a place I grew up. So that means my relatives, they would know who I am. And so it's different than here. Here, you graduate, you get married, you're out. You're out of your parents. Because the foundation remains the same. Where your grandparents or your parents born, they don't move. They have a land. It's like a signature place.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's like the U.S. like a couple hundred years ago, where you'd have farmers that they lived in an area in their community. They'd farm, and then they'd teach their kids to farm, and then when they died, the ranch or the farm would go off to them, and then you'd have, eighth generation. Yeah, this is our farm. This is the family farm.
That's it.
It's like stepping back in time in Burundi, and you're like, man, this feels like forever ago. And then someone pulls out a cell phone, and you're like, what? It's really, really funny. It's a culture shock, because you start thinking that, oh, I'm like, this is like 60 years ago. This is like 100 years ago, because there's people with like hoes out in the field, and you look at the rice field, and it's all the tea field or whatever
or
they
the
were,
coffee
or the
planters.
coffee or the cassava or whatever.
Bananas.
Yeah.
Avocado trees.
Yeah.
So
you look in the field, and there's someone working it by hand, and you're like, I can't convince myself that 300 years ago it didn't look a whole lot like this, except the fabric on their clothes might have been a little less colorful.
Yeah.
But I get the feeling that they would have figured it out one way or another. They love colorful. I found that out when I went over there.
They do.
Colorful clothes, it's a really big deal.
They do. Here you have to deal with nature. Like in Texas, you don't wear black, for example. Most people wear white because it's so hot, right? The weather,
it's great.
It's beautiful. It's colorful. You have the nature, because it rains all the time, and the temperature is great.
It's like, what, 5 months out of the year that it's like solid rain, or is it more? The rainy season?
More. It started like things started changing. When I was growing up, you had rain September, October, November, a little maybe 2 weeks for December, and then we were from January all the way to April. Actually, the month April is called Ndamukiza, the month of April, which means say hi to my relatives, because people used to be stuck.
Oh, yeah, because muddy trails and all that? Or
no, flooding.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's that much water.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, you didn't get a chance.
Even in the mountains, like where there's good runoff?
Yeah, there would be a runoff, and then it would take the whole valley is full of water.
Oh, seriously?
People will stay because you can't go. People don't know how to swim. There's no pool. And so getting in the water is a death. So it's
Even with Lake Tanganyika right there?
what? No, that's far out. We're talking
Yeah.
about in the mountains.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, talking about mountains, like it's a place that I grew up.
Yeah.
Couple times a year, I stayed. I didn't get home because we had to cross this creek. This creek will be full, flooded. So we'll spend the night across the creek with neighbors. Look in your house
Yeah.
because you can't go.
You can see it, but you can't
You
get
can't
there.
go. Because it was flooded.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I want to circle back with the time we have left. Earlier, I was about to ask that. So the 2 gallon or the couple gallons that you went 2 hours to get and 2 hours back to get, was that enough for your family for the day, or is that just enough for the morning? How many gallons of water did your family use a day? And were there multiple trips, or did the one suffice?
So I had a 2 sisters and 2 brothers,
Okay.
and so 3 of us would get the water in the morning before we go to
okay.
school. So our mom didn't have to go fetch water.
So they were
And then
older; they could carry more.
Yeah, so that would be like a 3. You're talking about that's 25 gallons,
Like
probably
13
75.
gallons?
Huh?
So like you could carry like 3 gallons, and they could carry like 5, or
Yeah, 5 gallons, 5 gallons.
and then 3 gallons.
Yeah, and 3
So
gallons.
like 13 gallons, and that would get you through the day.
No, in the afternoon when we come back for school, they would say, "Go get the water
You
again."
have to do it again.
Yeah. The worst thing? The worst thing was when we have a party. You know what? When you have a party at your family, you get excited. Here you're going to eat a cookie, or you're going to eat candy or a cake. It used to be my nightmare because you're going to double the water or triple the water.
Every time there's a party, you have to go.
Yeah.
Get like double the water.
Yeah, same thing when they were making the banana beer.
Yeah.
But
I got to see them making it over there. It's really cool.
Yeah, but it requires a lot of water.
Oh, I'm sure. You're like, never mind the beer. All I can think about is the water.
No, they would bribe us. They would give us banana,
Yeah.
like a ripe banana. It tastes different than a banana here. I don't know if
Yeah.
you ever taste Burundi bananas.
Yeah, no, they were good.
Yeah, they're amazing. And so,
Like everything, because it's non-GMO, was so good.
yes, of course.
It was not messed with like so much of the U.S. food we have over here.
It would taste different, for sure. Anyway, when they're making banana beer, which is, for those of listeners, you like banana beer or banana wine. So basically, the banana for making the beer are different than the banana you eat as fruits.
I didn't know that.
Always totally different.
Yeah.
And those banana, when they're ripe, they are really, really sweet. And so we had a way to provoke the juice by, you know how they do the bricks?
Yeah.
We would do the same way for the bananas, but it would take
You
2 days.
stack them up and build a fire under them?
So you build the fire under.
Yeah.
First, you build the heat, and then you build the heat under, and then you put the bananas, and then at the top, you will build another fire. So there's a fire under, fire at the top.
Oh, man.
And it will create that heat that will be like 3 days, and bananas are all ripe.
Oh, you pull the green bananas off, and you can immediately get them to soften and get all the juice out of them?
Yeah, you wait a little bit. It's not from the trees, and you wait it for a couple weeks, maybe.
Okay. You let them dry out a little bit.
Dry it a little bit, and then you put in a pit, and then kind of I'll call provoke, getting ripe, and then you will make a banana. So I like to brag about banana beer because banana beer or banana wine, because you're like, how do you get a banana wine? It was I don't know if you got a chance to taste it.
I didn't. I need to go back with you, and we need to try it.
Okay, it's really interesting. I was telling you, alcohol content can be 18% or so.
18%?
Yes, if you squeeze the juice. Yes, if you squeeze the juice, a little water, because you have to add water to provoke it to get it's 18%. I'm not joking you.
Oh man.
You take a sip, and knock you down. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, well, I did develop a taste for malty when I was over there, and I can't find it anywhere here.
Which
So
one?
malty,
Oh,
like
really?
that, like the non-alcoholic like malt, like the apple malt. Uh, the company I think it's called
Brasserie?
Azam or something.
Azem or Brasserie?
Azam.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
It's a
a.
brand new.
It is it newer.
It's a brand new. I don't know it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's a newer looking factory. We passed it on our way back from
Chibitoke?
Chipatoki, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a new.
Yeah.
The biggest one is Brasserie, which is they make Primus. They make Primus, which is a beer, local
Yeah.
beer. Yeah. Anyway, you ask earlier if the 20 gallon or was enough for the day.
Uh-huh.
We didn't count.
Yeah. But just like in general, because like I water consumption, I think of our house and I think of, washer machine and dishwasher and ice maker. And if you don't have those, like you're probably using it for drinking, cooking, and washing, right? That's like it.
Yeah. Also shower. People use it for shower.
Yeah,
too.
for
So
washing.
for washing your face, washing your
Yeah.
legs. Because a lot of people don't
And
wear shoes, so they have to every night and every morning you have to wash your feet.
yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like if you're building a building or something, you probably had to get it for the bricks.
Oh
guessing.
my gosh, that was another nightmare.
Oh, yeah, I
we
can
used to
imagine.
hire people, so a bunch of us, like during a break, you used to, hire a bunch of people to
Just
do
to
it.
carry
'Cause,
water.
yeah, you can't think about how much to make a bricks. I forgot how many bricks for a house. I used to know this, but think about how many bricks you're gonna make,
That's
and
a
then you're
lot.
gonna dry them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're looking at all this water that you carried up there, and then you're building a fire underneath to dehydrate them, and you're like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it probably feels hard as a kid to see all your work go up in flames, but I mean, it is for a cause and it is for a purpose.
it was also nerve-wracking because when you have a fire out, you can't go sleep. You gotta stay nearby.
How long did it take for them to bake?
It can be a couple weeks, maybe a week or two.
A week or two, and someone
Yeah.
has to constantly watch it.
Yes, you do.
Oh,
Otherwise, if the neighborhood cut the fire, you're in trouble.
oh yeah, sure, because everyone
it's a-
knows that you're baking bricks.
Yeah, it's a grass everywhere too, dry grass.
Yeah. So out of all the, I, I said like 15 minutes on the podcast, and we're like 47
That's
minutes in.
fine. We're having fun.
Okay, yeah, I'm having a really good time, but I
Yeah.
want to be respectful of your time. So I had a couple questions that I want to make sure I hit before we're done, but I'm loving this conversation. It's awesome. So out of the 63, almost 64 systems that are in Burundi, how many of those systems are like how old is the oldest one, and how many of them are still operational?
They all, I think they're all still operating. I just got back from Burundi in January,
Yeah.
and the goal was to check and find out what projects or what systems are not working. I find it both working, and the oldest one is 2009, and it's still
Yeah.
operating.
And it looks like they're gonna. I mean, the cool thing about the Gazelle Foundation that I love is that you use community labor to do it. I met Bosco, your guy in Burundi,
Mm-hmm.
that helps organize stuff, but use community labor there, and then you turn the system over, right?
Yes,
You turn it over to the community once you're done.
correct.
And the cool thing is the people that built the system live in the community.
Yeah.
So if anything goes wrong, they don't have to call someone that they don't know to fix it. They know how to fix it, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of training right as we're building a project to educate the community about the importance of maintaining. We also want to make clear that if it's destroyed, if it's not well maintained, it's their problems. And knowing that they needed this water so bad, they take care of it.
Yeah.
They respond positively to get involved. It's also creating a partnership and also ownership. They feel their own. It's their own. If they mess up, they're the one that's gonna lose.
Yeah.
And if you think about the message is the same every time we get a clean water. The message is always the same. Thank you. we were so desperate. We used to go far. We used to travel far to get. It was unsafe. It was not clean. I mean, the message is very consistent.
Yeah.
So they take ownership, and the people working in the projects. If you look what they do to send the kids to school, their life have improved,
Yeah.
and
And they get paid for that, right?
yeah, they get paid for doing that. It's not. That's why we did the math for you listeners. If you're thinking about how can I make an impact, how can you measure your impact? We did the math. It costs $30 to $35 per family to get a clean water. And dear listeners, tell me a few things you can buy for $30 to $35 that will last you for life.
Yeah, that's a trip to Chipotle for 2 people. Yeah, that lasts me like, what, 10 minutes? Something like that. Yeah, what what you need to understand, and what I didn't have my brain so wrapped around before I went, $1 US, and depending on the conversion rate at the time, is like 3,700 Burundian francs. And at least that's what it was about there in June when we were there.
That's right.
And so what I was so surprised about is, like, in Burundi, I was like culture shock when I came home because I ate really, really well in Burundi. But for like, I think it's like 5,000 Burundian francs, which is like somewhere around $1.25, you can get like a nice big sandwich with French fries and, a drink on a white tablecloth on a table in a nice restaurant. And that's like $1.25. What can you get for $1.25 here? Maybe a stick of gum. Maybe that. I come back and I go to Chipotle and I'm like, oh, I want rice and veggies and chicken because we ate a lot of that over there. It's like $18 when I walked out, and I'm like, that was great, but still wasn't as good as Burundi. And that's like, I don't know, I could feed my whole family in Burundi for this. So like the concept of your dollar, the US dollar going so far, a lot of people, some people take advantage of the trade imbalance and whatever, but if you're going to take advantage of it, do it for good and do it for water, because these systems, the way they're able to put them up at such a low cost, if we're to do a system like this in the US, I don't know what it would cost. What's the US dollar price for a system in Burundi?
A system,
like average, because I know some are a little more.
Yeah, depend upon the distance. How I would say average gravity between 45 to 50,000.
45 to 50,000. And how long does it take for them to complete that from start to finish?
Well, I would say a couple months, 3 months.
Couple months, and how
3 months.
How many people does it employ?
Employed. It's again depend upon the project.
Like average.
There's a team that do. So the way he does it. There's a team that do pipes. That dig up the trenches, and then the people lay out the pipes. There's a digging. There's a trenches. Yeah. And then also build the tank.
The storage tanks.
The storage tank. Also, there's a tap.
Yeah, and the tap stands and all that.
So that I will have to get back on you on a number. I'm assuming 20 to 30 people.
Yeah, no, from what I've seen, it's a good amount of people, and that much, that did you have any idea about, and it's fine if you don't have the numbers, but what they get paid like per day or per week?
That I don't know, but they pay a good. I don't know if they do contract. They said okay.
We'll finish this system for you, and I'll be on for the duration of it. For
X amount.
Well, that's really, really cool, because what it does is they're not like, oh, let's slow down and let's work a couple more days so we can get more money. They're motivated to get the system closed and finished. Yeah. Because do they get paid once the system is complete, or do they have like draws? Like, do they get paid in sections, or do they get paid once it's done? They
pay in sections, okay, but they also have deadlines. Like, this is what we're gonna finish this. Yeah, in that way, everybody's working and nobody's like trying to cheat the system.
Yeah. So in the U.S., that would be called a draw. So once you hit a certain level of build, you get paid a certain amount, and then you go again, and then you get paid a certain amount, so that you don't have to wait till the end to get paid. But what's so cool is, so I went to Burundi, and in my head, I had this concept of the best thing I can do. This is so cool. The best thing I can do for the Gazelle Foundation is to go over there and roll my sleeves up and dig and work or whatever. And Gilbert's laughing at me. But I just had the concept of, lead by example. If I want to help these people, I got to do that. Well, I was sitting in Bujumbura. I came like 8,553 miles to sit in that office. I came for other things, but I ended up meeting with Bosco. Yeah. Did I say Gilbert? I met with Bosco in Freddie's office. You know Freddie. He's a mutual friend of ours. And I was asking him, like, hey, I have a couple more years of school. I'd love to come here and help if I could. If there's anything that I need to learn before I come, like, what do y'all need and what is helpful? And I love Bosco because he's so honest, and he kind of leaned back and he was talking through a translator because I don't speak very good Kirundi. And basically what he said was how grateful he was that I came, and how hopeful he was that I'd be able to see the projects. But basically what he said is the best thing I can do is to go home and work and then come and visit and make sure that, be an eyewitness that, yes, this labor is actually happening and these systems are real. And then go back home and tell people about it. Because what he explained to me, and this was very eye-opening, just as that sandwich was a lot cheaper in Burundi, labor's really, really cheap in Burundi. It doesn't cost much to hire a man to dig a trench or to lay some conduit or to do stonework on a cistern for the water, or a water tank. But for me to come all that way just to dig, yeah, it would be cool, and it might feel like I'm getting more done. But the amount of labor you could get for the cost of me coming over there is like ridiculous. And it also takes jobs away from the people there.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
It pulls jobs away from the people there for us to come. And also, like, I just started scratching my head and thinking hard on it. And what I realized is, even if we got 100 people from the U.S. to go over and build a system and then leave, they don't know how that system's built if they didn't build it.
Yeah.
And are we going to come back if there's a leaky faucet? Probably not. That's a long way to move just to do that. It makes so much more sense how the Gazelle Foundation does it. And it goes to show that y'all are a lot smarter than my concept of how it was supposed to work, and how it makes so much sense, because the people, they're invested in it, and they built it, and they know that if they want this clean water to continue, I have to do this, that, and that to keep the system running.
That's right.
So it looks like to me that these systems are going to stay up and functioning for a long time, and it sounds like you'd agree with that, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it took us a while to figure out what is a sustainable method for to help this community.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt.
Yeah, and the first time I went to Burundi, I was like, give me the shovel. I want to work with you.
Yeah.
I want to work with you.
That's how I felt too.
They're like, boss, no. No boss. I'm like, I'm not a boss.
How do you say boss in Kirundi?
It's a boss. It's a boss.
Boss
is a boss. Boss is universal.
Is
word.
it?
It's a universal language. Boss, my boss. It's any language. It's a boss.
Really?
But
I know in Spanish it's like jefe, right?
They say umukuru, which means like kind of high up, and but doesn't mean boss. Boss is boss. You,
really?
My boss is my boss. Yeah,
that's really funny.
It's a borrowed from English and French and everything.
Is it in French? It's boss.
Oui.
Really? Oui?
Yeah. Yes. It's my boss or mon boss.
Yeah, that's really really funny.
Mon boss,
so you speak
boss.
English, Kirundi, and French, right?
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool.
It's fun.
That's
fun.
Pretty much
that's why I messed up.
Pretty much everyone there. That's why you're messed up.
My accent is messed up.
Well, you have to like. It's so funny to hear people drift from 3 different languages in one conversation. I met a young man there at Freddie's house. His name's I think Danny, and he's a singer and he raps. He's like, yeah, English, French, and Kirundi. It just is all mixed in there, and I thought it was really really funny. But when he's rhyming, it's cool because he can pull something from a different language that rhymes better with it and have the same meaning.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Gazelle Foundation, and we're gonna wrap up here
'Kay.
pretty soon, but the Gazelle Foundation is in the south of Burundi, right?
Correct.
How many provinces? Because there's what, 15 provinces?
15 provinces.
Okay.
Yeah. So the country is changing now. They're changing into like kind of 5 areas
Yeah.
where they group in the provinces together, like 3 to 4 provinces together. But when I was growing up, and up to now, it was 15 provinces. Burundi has, I believe, 8 communes. And we started in Songa, which is my birth commune. And now we are another commune, neighboring commune called Matana. So to give you a perspective, what's a commune? So a province divided, it's like a state. It's
Yeah.
like a county. So like a commune is like a county, pretty much. And so we working on the Songa, then we finish Songa. Everyone, that's something people don't understand. Everyone in the Songa, Hutu, Tutsi, Twa, they have a clean water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
That's something to brag about. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, that's super cool because you're right. The Gazelle Foundation doesn't single out one people group in Burundi, which is awesome because you have Hutu, Tutsi, and Twa.
Or Pygmy, yeah.
Yeah, like Batwa.
Yeah, Batwa. Yeah. That's funny. You visited Batwa. Have you been visiting?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm always ribbed for being short,
Yeah.
like in the U.S. and growing up, and so I thought it was really, 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 really amusing to me that I was not the shortest person around when I was out there, and it was super, super cool because they're cool people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Gazelle Foundation doesn't, single out one particular people group in Burundi.
Yes.
And you have, Batwa, you have Hutu, and you have Tutsi all working in the same trench laying water pipe,
That's right.
right?
Correct.
As far as hiring goes, whoever wants a job gets a job pretty much if they're capable.
Correct. Right? Correct.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's just furthering how the people are grouped together, and it's furthering how, erasing those lines of division of, oh, this is us and this is you and this is our water, this is your water. Everyone comes to the same tap stand and everyone gets the same water, right?
Yes. So when, again, I started telling you the story earlier, how we decided to focus on the water.
Yeah.
When I was in the fire, you have read my book. Actually, you brought it for me to sign, and I'm ready to sign.
Oh,
with
you want to sign it? You can sign it right now.
I can sign with joy. So one thing I like to tell you is when we decided to give water, to focus on water, our mission was to provide kind of assistance to unprivileged children here in Austin. But I look back in Africa, those people struggling with water. One thing was to be the voice for the voiceless. And that voice that I heard in the fire, that voice that saved me. When I think about this moment, what was that voice? Trying to explain what was that voice. The voice was telling me to go help other people.
Yeah.
And to see coming to fruition, to see that many people getting help, getting clean water, life has been transformed, people working in the trenches, community getting it together. And also, I'm always about unity. After forgiveness, I found a way how to unite people. We hoped, and it's working. With the water, people will be able to share the common resources, that water that's given by God for that community versus killing each other. Instead of thinking about killing each other, they're going to think about helping one another. When they come up to fetch water, because we put the water in the central. When they come to fetch water, they don't think about killing each other. They think about sharing. That's a powerful, and that's how you bring that forgiveness, forgive one another, live together, live in the cohesion, always help each other. That's how you transform a village.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so the Gazelle Foundation's in the south of Burundi right now. Do y'all have plans to go over the entire nation of Burundi? Or are you going to stay more centralized in the south, or what's the What's the long-term goal of growth?
Our long-term goal for growth is like my friend, the president Peter Howard usually like to put it out. He's a president of the Gazelle Foundation. I call him the good president. So,
Boss.
yes, my boss. So the thing I always stress about is every time you build a water system or a project, you know, pat yourself in the back. You've done something great for community. 20, so we like to do things measurable. Instead of handing over, I cannot tell you how many people come to me and said, hey, we'd like for you to partner with UNICEF. We'd like for you to partner with whatever big organization.
Yeah.
But you lose the touch of people. And so for us, what we like to do something we can measure. We can see this community has got given water versus we go out there, do a campaign to raise the money and nothing gets built. That's a failure. And so that is why we like to do little by little.
Yeah.
One mountain.
Pole.
Pole. Yeah. We like to do one commune, one city, one village at a time. Yes, we have a goal, big goal to help bigger and more communities. We're going to do it by showing what we've done. We're going to be doing it by measuring our success. Be able to measure what you've done.
Yeah. No, one of the things I love about the Gazelle Foundation is I was asking Bosco, I was sitting in Bujumbura and I was asking Bosco, so like out of the percentage, if I give, $100, how much of that $100 actually makes it to Burundi? Because a lot of places it's come out, that, a lot of the money that charities get goes towards, fancy cars and offices and government. And by the time it finally gets to where it's going, it's like, 50%, 30%.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm like, hey, I only have so many dollars to give. I want to make sure that it's being efficient and it's actually going where I'm wanting it to go and it's not getting pulled by government. And what he was saying is like, other than the transfer fee from whatever bank you transfer to, he was saying it's like 97% or something goes
to the water project.
And he's like, the money shows up on my end. It's not disappearing in between the U.S. and Burundi. No one's taking it. And that was really, really cool. And it just made me feel so much more happy to support the Gazelle Foundation, because I'm like, it's actually going where they say it's going. And we know because we see the systems going up. And we see, like, I can attest, I haven't seen the systems in themselves, but, I'm very, very confident that the Gazelle Foundation does a really, really good job storing its resources. Partly because I didn't see a staff of 500 in Burundi. I met one guy. Yes. I'm in Austin right now, and I don't see 600 people hanging out here. I'm in like a 5 by 10 office that Gilbert has. He doesn't seem to want to waste resources in any way, shape, or form, and I really appreciate that. And I think a lot of you that are listening can really appreciate that. I guess you're gonna have to take my word for it because you're not here and you haven't seen it. But
I have a question for you.
Yeah,
before you
go
wrap
for
up.
it.
Are you getting ready to carry the jugs? How are you getting ready? Do you need some more training?
I absolutely need more training, Gilbert. I'm like miserably failing over here.
We have 10 weeks to go.
I have it's like 6 gallons.
Yeah.
And I filled it up, and I didn't realize that it's like, that's like what, 55 pounds or something?
Almost, yeah.
Gilbert, that's like not half of what I weigh, but close. I don't weigh much. And and I'm like, what in the world? This will be easy. Last time we talked, you talked about the, like the practice thing for your anniversary. That's like a mile, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
you are welcome.
I was like, I'd love to do that. And I'm like, how far is it? You're like, a mile. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. No problem. And you just kind of snickered and you laughed and you're like, well, yeah, it will be a good test for you. And I'm like, Gilbert doesn't understand how strong I am. And so I went home, filled the thing up, and put it on my head. It took me 3 tries swinging it up, and the third time I landed it on my head. It didn't knock me over, but close enough. That thing is so heavy. You know, I can't. Maybe it's the little hat thing in between the head and the jug that would help it be more stable. But I couldn't.
You also have to carry sideways. You have to make it flat. Look at some of the videos that I've done.
Okay.
You'll be able to see it. You don't carry like standing straight. It's like kind of tipped over.
I had it on its side, but
okay, really?
The jug that I had was more dense. It wasn't as long as the jerry can type ones that y'all have. So maybe I'll have to get it.
Academy has those.
Yeah, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, I got it up there, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try no hands. I got one hand off, and it almost fell off, and then I got the other hand off, and it's really, really funny. I have it on film. I can show you afterwards.
Please do.
Yeah, I'll have to show it to you.
Yes, I like to see it.
Yeah, no,
not to make fun of, just to help you.
It's embarrassing because it took me several times to get it up, and then I'm like, Gilbert did this when he was a kid? No way. He must be some sort of superhuman over there.
No. It's a way of life, man.
Yeah, your neck must be super strong or something. But anyways, there's a race later in the year. I'm gonna let Gilbert tell you about it. So for the listeners, how can they learn more about the Gazelle Foundation, and how can they support it? Can you give them a couple ways to do that?
Yes, gazellefoundation.com or .org. That would take you to the website, and you find the project. We keep everything. It's a wide open. You can see the project we've done. You can see the project we're about to do, and you will learn how we do it. Nothing is a secret. You will learn, and then if you're not convinced, hook me up. Look me up, like they say, DM me. And I'll be able to respond to answer any question. However, 2 ways to get in. You can donate. I think to give you an idea, it's $35 gives a family for life. If you give $300, an example, that's 10 people. If you give $3,000, that's a community. That's
the leverage that you get with the U.S. dollar over there is amazing.
I know. So it's like 100 people. That's two classroom. They'll be getting clean water. And so they also have a race. That's my friend here. It's going to be carrying the jug.
Attempting to carry the jug. We'll see. I'm not feeling confident right now.
I think you have 10 weeks. You'll be all right.
It's like 100 degrees outside, Gilbert.
Right now, but it will be better in November.
Yeah, but I don't want to... Training with 55 pounds on my head and 100 degrees doesn't sound smart.
No, you don't need to do that. Just do squats with weight. That will help.
Okay.
And then you sing while you carry the water, so you don't think about the pain. You think about changing the life of someone in Burundi. So November 5th, we have a race for everyone. For those of you listeners that are here in Austin or around Austin, November 5th, we have a 5K. That's a community. You can walk, you can run it. You don't have to train for it. But 10 miles, it's a little bit of a 10K. It's less than half marathon. It's a special distance that you will never get a chance to run in your life until you do run for the water. And guess what? We have cool T-shirts. We have some cool T-shirts that once you cross the finish line, you feel proud and you feel like a sense of accomplishment. I hope to see all of you to come to support us. It takes a village to change the life of the people, the villages in Burundi. Come join us November 5th. It will be a fun. We have a Drummers of Burundi. If you've never seen the Drummers of Burundi, that's your chance.
Yeah, they're on the finish line as they're coming around like the last 500 yards, and you're like, I'm gonna die. That's it. I'm gonna die. This is too bad. And you hear the drummers, and you're like, oh, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die on the other side of that finish line. We're gonna run a little more. Yeah. They're super motivating. Yeah, that pounding of it, I don't know. It awakens something inside of you.
Yeah, there's a group from Dallas that comes here. They come to drum for us for the race to lift you up. The coast, especially the 10 miles, is very scenic. It's beautiful. Yeah, they will lift you up. They will, towards the end when you're tired. It's also like putting like a good closure. You done a race, you're tired, and then you hear the drums, Burundi drums. It connected to the mission. What are you doing? Those kids, the same feeling those kids are feeling. They're happy, they're joyful, they're jumping around because they will have clean water. And thanks to you by run for the water race.
Yeah. So I'm going to let Gilbert sign my book here really quick, and I'm going to make a few comments. The race is in Austin, Texas, like a few hundred feet from where we're sitting right now.
Start right here,
yeah. It's a few hundred feet from where we're sitting right now at this moment. And it's a really cool community thing. And what are there like? I think there are thousands of people that come and run it. It's not a small race. Was it like 4,500 people last year?
Yes, the most we've done was closer to over 5,000. So it's two races. It's a 5K and 10 mile. Be part of the
even if you're like me and you're not a runner, consider coming and doing the 5K. Even if you walk it, it's very doable to close it out if you're walking, and you get to start with all the 10 milers, so you feel like you're actually doing something. Even if you're turning off before they keep going, you get to cheer them on if you know anybody. So yeah, come run the race. Look up the Gazelle Foundation.
November 5th, 7 a.m.
Yeah, November 5th, 7 a.m., daylight savings.
That's right.
Yeah, you get an extra hour of sleep, so you have no excuse. You can run the race in about an hour. That hour that we borrowed from you back in the spring, instead of taking it back, you can give it to some people in Burundi. So on this podcast, it's called Think, Pray, Do. We've talked a lot, and I'd like to close it out praying here real quick. Gilbert's signing my book. I thought it would be really funny to have it on the podcast. But yeah, we're gonna pray here real quick, and then we're gonna close it out, because I told Gilbert I only needed it would be like a 15-minute podcast, and we're like an hour and 17 minutes in right now from when we got the sound checked. So I'm gonna let him go. He's been super generous, super gracious with his time. And Gilbert, I just want to thank you for making the time to meet with me, and making the time for the listeners. I'm sure they are. I hope they're excited about it as I am, and I believe they will be once they hear it. This has been a really good conversation, and really enlightening, and I hope to see you again up here sometime. Hopefully before I have 55 pounds on my head and I'm sweating around Lady Bird Lake, but we'll see. Okay, so I'm gonna pray us out. This is Think, Pray, Do. We've thought, and we're gonna pray. So here we go. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for the ability to get up every morning. We thank you for breath. We thank you for water. We thank you for food. We choose not to take these things for granted. Thank you, Lord, for people like Gilbert who have chosen to forgive as you have taught us to forgive. We thank you, Lord, that your commandments are not burdensome and they are for our good. And this is such a good example of, a commandment to forgive that was obeyed. And look at all the good that has come from it. And so we pray in Jesus' name for the people in Burundi, that they would know how much you love them, and that they would experience your love through this water. Because in Matthew chapter, I think 25, it talks about, I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. This is what you said to do. And we pray in Jesus' name that they would feel the love of God through that. In the name of Jesus, I pray for the listeners, that their hearts would be opened, and that they would pray about supporting the Gazelle Foundation and only do what the Lord calls them to do. But Jesus said, to feed hungry people and to give thirsty people drink. And as far as I can see, this is right in line with the commandments of Jesus. So we thank you, Father, in the name of Jesus, for this day and for this podcast and the ability to do this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, Gilbert, thank you so much for being on here. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for this is a great opportunity to be with you. You think it's I'm generous. You're generous with your time. Thank you for taking your time to visit my country, Burundi. It's always joyful to meet someone who has been in my country, because, despite what the media said, or the worst, and, Burundi is super beautiful, and you can attest that. And so
it truly is.
Yeah,
it's not all giraffes and sand. I found out there's more to Africa.
Yes, keep spreading good message about Burundi, and it takes a good ambassador like you to know Burundi and to be able to help these people that are suffering, that needs water. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Gilbert.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Think, Pray, Do. We have thought, we have prayed, and now it's your turn. You go out and you do. Okay, have a good one, y'all. Bye-bye.